Let me give you guys a little tour of the studio. So it's a little bit chaos right now. So you got your Polaris there. That's a King Special Edition Polaris, Race Polaris. You got the Drive Fast All Gas Ultimate Dad Whip. That's the next giveaway. I don't drive it because I don't want to wreck it. You got my Demon 170. This thing's an absolute monster, but can only go straight. You got the cool lights that every car influencer has. My daily driver with 1,300 horsepower. Bunch of boxes I gotta unwrap today. Got the rain fridge. But the goal is bent pack lifts here and here. So it's gonna be like a straight up shop in here for Drive Fast All Gas. That thing I need to take out in Texas. Let me know a good place to go. And then you come up here and the entire... All right, so you go to the second level for the video cutoff. You got TFATK Studios. These walls are bare. We gotta get all our old school pictures and posters up. Got all the cameras set up. That's where Rink sits. That's my dumbass. Chin Studios. And over here you got the Schaub'S show. It's a work in progress. It's coming together. You can see down there's all the car shit. Studio. It's going to be dope. We're cooking. It's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of time, but we're cooking.
So, am I the only person that thinks the layout of this podcast studio is the wrong way around? Surely, in my simpleton brain, if the main business is the main money earner for Thick Boy Enterprises, or whatever it's fucking called, is the podcast, surely the studio should be more podcast than it is car garage. I don't think he's making that much money on Drive Fast All Gas shit. Even if he is getting paid, like someone suggested, most likely he's being paid by some company to promote these truck giveaways. And then the part of the deal that he gets, maybe the part he makes money on, is that he gets to keep the funds from the fucking sale of the merch. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe the company gets to keep... No, maybe there's a profit split when it comes to the merch. The company supplies a car, he gets a split of the profits of the merch. Even though that's true, I would guess the thing that makes the most money for him, like if you had to put it in a fucking pie chart, the largest fucking piece would be the podcast. If that's the case, why aren't the studios on the lower ground floor? Surely that's where the main studio space should be. And also, wouldn't that be easier to soundproof? Like if the studio was like underneath this mezzanine instead of the car being there, wouldn't that be an easier thing to soundproof with temporary walls, cladding, curtains, whatever? That'd be way easier to kind of figure out as opposed to that mezzanine floor with that fucking thin floor that's not really absorbing the sound, bouncing off of it, with obviously all the space around it and shit. And then there was a part here that really bugged me out. There's a bit here. Is this whole thing his space? If that's the case, why isn't the studio around the corner? If he can't have the studio underneath that mezzanine, why doesn't he build the studio somewhere around here? Because it looks like the studio is like a T shape, right? So it looks like it's a T shape. Like that's the top of the T and that's the vertical bit of the T. So if that's the T shape, why isn't the studio here? Unless maybe I've got it wrong and maybe this is a big warehouse space and all of these garage doors are the studio spaces. That's what I probably got wrong. Maybe this isn't a studio. Maybe this is the entrance to the studio. That's what I got wrong. I just figured it out. I was thinking, why doesn't he have the studio here? But I guess this is probably the entrance. No, this is like the alleyway, whatever, you know? And these are other studios here. Other garages underneath these grey doors. Maybe. Because I don't think that's his truck, right? That's not his. That's somebody else's truck, I'm assuming there, that yellow one. I don't think that's his, right? I'm not too sure. Maybe it is. But I'm assuming that's the main garage door. Maybe there's two. Yeah, there's two doors. And then you have that mezzanine floor. But I don't know. Am I dumb for thinking that he shouldn't be putting all his trucks here? Maybe because he doesn't have any room in his house. Maybe that new mansion doesn't have as much garage space as the LA one. But I think he should be prioritizing this space for the pod, not for the cars. Especially if he's going to keep all his cars there. Because he's got the Dodge there. Because I think it's easier to fucking soundproof the ground floor than it is to soundproof the mezzanine. Big ups, Brendan. Smart idea. Prioritize the expensive car hobby that makes no money instead of podcast. Exactly what I said. Big up, Mr. Bob. Not a numbers guy. Big up, Young Old Vibes. It would be easier to have the separate buildings. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Big up the Maz 9197. Texas situation turned out to be funnier than when we thought. Exactly. The gift that keeps on giving. Big up, Brian. Have you noticed all the advertisers' products haven't been put up in shot of the podcast space? Ah, that's a good point, by the way. That's a very good point there, Brian. But I think it's just laziness. I don't think the lack of rain, nicotine pouches, or drinks around the table is a sign that rain has dropped him. I just think they're being lazy, personally. Put it up again. Young Old Vibes, it would have been smart not to rent the garage space by the railroad tracks. Brendan Mullery, that's his truck in the lobby access space. What, the yellow one? I don't think the yellow one's his. I don't think so. Did they drop Bappa as a client? Keep the green one, sell the rest. No walls or gate at the new mansion to hide his ugly yellow and orange beater cars. That's true. I would think if they still under contract, they would be in the first things to go. Chin couldn't lift the rain. Yeah, to be fair, it wasn't Brendan. I wouldn't know that sure shot. Yeah, exactly. True. Big up. Yeah, true. That's a good point, Wingers. To be fair, I wouldn't know what rain was. I actually drank a can of rain because of Brendan. It was absolutely disgusting though. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. And then the other thing that's disgusting, by the way. By the way, I was wondering what happened to the next fucking car giveaway, and he did tell us this TRX truck is meant to be the next Drive Fast All Guys giveaway. So I'm assuming we're gonna find out that some person that Brendan knows is gonna win that car for sure. But the interesting part for me, or the worst part for me, was this part where Brendan walks up the stairs. It looks like he's out of breath. Legit looks like he's out of breath. Not sure because the stairs are hard to navigate or because he's been working hard, but listen closely. Doesn't it sound like Brendan's out of breath walking up the stairs?
Yes. That thing I need to take out in Texas. Let me know.
By the way, what's the point of owning this car? Isn't that meant to be isn't it like a race car? Like this Polaris thing? Why?
Good place to go. And then you come up here and the entire... Alright, so you go to the second level for the video cutoff. You got TFATK Studios. These walls are bare. We gotta get all our old school pictures and posters up.
Fucking hell, man. Look at Chin's studio. Look at Chin's studio. Chin's studio is a fold-up table. Chin's studio is a fold-up table, bro. A fold-up table. So when Brendan's recording Schaub'S show here, Chin switches sides and sits there. When it's TFATK time, Chin switches sides and sits there. The dream. Chin left, moved from LA in a fucking massive studio space with different studio rooms that he could work on, do dedicated work. He could record skits. He could record videos and stuff of himself singing. All of that shit. He went from that to working in a garage with what do you call it? With a fucking metal stainless steel roof. Jesus Christ.
Got all the cameras set up. That's where Rink sits. That's my dumbass.
By the way, look at the state of that microphone. Look at mine. Hope you can see mine in the fucking chat. Or in the fucking video. Hold on, let me get it up on here. Hope you can see mine. Look at the camera. Can you see the microphone? Look at the sponge. Look at the sponge. Look at the foam. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Look at mine and look at his. Oh my God. Gag. Barf. Barf. It's turned green, yellow. Oh my god, bro. Oh my god.
Powerful bunch.
Chin is in his sweatshop era. Lock in Chinny boy.
Fucking hell, man. Can you even look like... I don't know. Do you think Chin feels inspired working here? Do you think Chin's inspired to create his best work? Is Chin inspired to create his best work in a place like that? After coming... It's one thing if you're coming up, on the way up, you know, ascending. Can he create his best work in this environment? I guess you have to make it work, but fucking hell. I bet you their camera equipment's probably worth more than that fucking unit. You know that? I bet you their equipment is worth more than this storage unit, this garage that they're fucking renting. Oh my god, it's wild. But to be fair to them, maybe this was probably the cheapest option because renting an actual studio space costs much. It costs a lot of fucking money, recording space. So maybe, you know, whatever. But wow, man. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. She doesn't feel inspired to do anything, exactly. Big up younger vibes. Oh yeah.
Got all the cameras set up. That's where Rink sits. That's my dumbass. Chin Studios. And over here you got the Schaub'S show. It's a work in progress. It's coming together.
Also, doesn't the Schaub'S show have too much like floor space? Couldn't that be like squeezed up a little bit? Why is there so much room? It doesn't need to be that big, the set, you know? They should probably put more set into the TFATK. They should probably allocate more space to TFATK, you know? You would imagine. There's too much space for Schaub'S show. And look how far the fucking TV is as well for him. Or the monitor. God damn. But anyway, what can you do? What can you do? What can you do? Studio looks terrible, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Let them figure it out. Let them figure it out. And allegedly they're getting a lift. It's getting a lift installed in that fucking garage too, by the way. Hilarious. But I guess we have to wait and see how it plays out. Wait and see how it plays out.